experience that a customer has with you is more important than your actual product or service. And I think what's really important here is that we think about, we all have been a consumer, right? We've all bought a car, we've all walked into a grocery store. We know that we make a lot of purchasing decisions based on how we feel, right? Based on emotion. We're not going to buy something if it makes us feel like crap, right? We don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is, as we move kind of to the middle here, this is not just about the experience, but if you're moving to and not providing a great experience, your consumers are going to a competitor. So over half of your customers are leaving you if you can't provide a great experience. But it doesn't really stop there. Not only are they going to another competitor, they're actually spending more. There's market share that you're missing out on. So they're spending more with a competitor because they're not getting a great experience. All right, so from that, we also mentioned this in the keynote, and I think Lee and others mentioned this in other sessions as well, right? The number one priority, but also the number one challenge for all of you as marketers, or maybe your teammates that are marketers, is how do we deliver real-time engagement? Customers are expecting a great experience. A great experience means we have to deliver in real time, but how do we do that? How do we do that whenever it's our number one priority, but also another number one challenge? Because in reality, this is what's happening, right? We're all on different teams in our organization, between our web team, our marketing team, our service, our community, our sales. Everybody's operating in their own department, right? And those departments are measured by different KPIs. And a lot of the times, those KPIs are not centered around the customer. So we're all working in these great silos, we're all working together, rah-rah, right? But at the end of the day, we're delivering very disconnected parts of that customer experience, right? From awareness to consideration to conversion. Everybody's a piece of that puzzle in the customer experience. But when we're operating with different KPIs, we're really breaking down not just our internal teams, but our data systems. So how do we truly bring all of this together? Right? We have all of our customers, we've got our friend Einstein, but how do we bring these teams all together to be customer focused and to put the customer at the center? Well, we all have to have that mentality and accountability around, well, what experience do we want to provide? How are we going to create that great, amazing emotional impact and feeling that we want to deliver that is going to get people to buy from us? So I'm going to kind of walk through a couple scenarios. We're going to talk about Interaction Studio, but this is really about three kind of acts: listening, understanding, and acting. So with Interaction Studio, what we're going to start with is actually listening across all channels. And what you can do, it's not just digital channels. We're now going beyond digital to what we call omni-channel, right? These are those offline or those assisted channels. So whether it's web, so you're having a digital interaction, mobile, you're on your mobile device, you have a mobile SDK that we can tap into. Sales and service, whether that's case resolution, customer status, email campaigns, so think Email Studio Journey Builder, and then even in property. So Ticketmaster was in the keynote. Think about that event that happened at the kiosk or when Megan checked in at the kiosk. We can also monitor some of that on property, in property, or any activity that might be happening at a bank, a kiosk in a bank. So what we do is we can listen to that activity, and what we're doing inside of Interaction Studio, I like to think of it as the brain or the scientist that's doing the work based on insights and decisioning that we set up within Interaction Studio by you as the business users are saying, hey, if this happens, here's what I want the action to be. If they came on web, here's the action I want to make sure my service team has. What insight should we give them? Are we going to push the sales team a lead? Do we want to create a new task for our service agent? Or if we're looking at mobile, maybe they activated on an in-app behavior that we were monitoring, and based on the decision we set up in Interaction Studio, we then delivered an on-property action that we wanted a store manager or a branch manager to take. So on and so forth. I won't speak to each of these, but it's really about how can we listen to activities that are happening. It's not just about one channel. It can be about multiple channels. So we could be listening to web and email at the same time, and the decision that we're telling it inside of Interaction Studio is, hey, we heard these two things happen. Here's the priority of the action we need to take next. We need to actually inform our sales rep or our service agent of what they need to do to create that next best experience. Same goes here. You don't even have to, you can monitor multiple, you can monitor one, but really it's about how do you prioritize on what that next best action needs to be. So listening, to all of those different channels. This goes beyond digital. We're now connecting to the offline, to the assisted experience. Being our little scientist, our little brain here is Interaction Studio in the middle, listening to those insights and making a decision, and it's pushing the action. Do I need to optimize something on the web? Do I need to push something to the mobile app? So to really bring this all together, the goal is, how do we create that consistent experience, no matter where our customers are at, and doing it in real time, right? A consistent experience, whether I am on my website, in my email campaign, in-app messaging, it has to be consistent, and it has to be happening in the moments that are most impactful, that are going to create that really amazing experience. So how do we do that? This is just kind of our little summary slide. Interaction Studio is bringing in, whether you're using DMP, Audience Studio, bringing in all of those signals that are coming digitally online. We're listening to those insights and those audiences. We're then coordinating engagement, listening to how they're coming in, digitally, again, or offline. We're creating these beautiful visuals that Blake's going to show here in a demo in a minute. We're seeing all those people coming in. How are they moving and progressing through their life cycle stage? What are some different opportunities that we can kind of go into if we don't see a conversion happening on the website? Maybe we need to optimize a piece of content that got them there so they know what to do when they get to the website. And then, of course, optimizing that next best experience along the way. So this is just really to kind of give you an idea around the value drivers. So when you're thinking back to your business, I like to break these down into 4 components, left to right. Think about, how do you want to start focusing on real time? We get a lot of data, we know a lot of things are happening, but where should we focus maybe our first use case? Maybe it's around increasing a conversion rate. What does that look like? What's the conversion from my online digital channel to bringing them in store to pick something up? Or increasing that offer, promotion, redemption. If I'm personalizing my web offer, they're most likely to click on the offer, right? If it is what they've been seeing consistently from web to mobile to an email that they're receiving. Or decreasing the cost to serve. This goes back to the assisted channel, the call center. How can we make sure that people are getting the right information and having to call in less to the call center? How can we kind of alleviate some of those issues on the front end by giving our customers the information that they need? And then last but certainly not least is around reduced customer attrition. How can we make sure we're giving them a really great experience so they're not going to a competitor and spending more money? All right, so as we think about how do we pull this in with DMP and Audience Studio, how do we pull in Journey Builder and now Interaction Studio, right? We look at this funnel of understanding, well, we've got all of these disparate systems, right? We've got our paid media, our earned media, and our goal is to push customers and drive them through the life cycle, right? It's a natural marketing cloud, or natural marketing funnel. So how do we start to pass that information back and forth when today it's super disconnected, right? Nobody's talking to each other. Well, now what we can say is as we move into paid media, we now can integrate all of those unknown anonymous data. So we can pull that into Interaction Studio, optimize that experience so that they keep coming back. Ultimately, then when they come back, they raise their digital hand. Now we know who they are, and we can personalize on that journey that we send them on. Optimize the email, optimize the mobile app message that they're going to get. And of course, ultimately come down and be a social advocate. All right, so with that, I've done a ton of talking. Let's go over to a demo and let's kind of see what this looks like in action. We're going to kind of play 2 scenarios. So Blake, I will hand it over to you, but also give you my password.
Trust is our #1 value at Salesforce. So here we are. Here you go. Here we are in the Marketing Cloud. This looks really familiar to a lot of you who've seen this today, and we're going to dive into Interaction Studio. And so as we take a look at this, we're going to go through, we're really going to look at the interactions and how somebody who's coming to the site for the first time customer will kind of go through that experience. So we're going to go through test and publish, and we're going to monitor and show you how Interaction Studio puts all of this together. So we see that we don't have any entry events. So we've got this, we're creating what Interaction Studio does when somebody first comes to the website. We don't know anything about me. I'm just kind of an anonymous cookie, an anonymous browser. But we're going to create a temporary ID. So as we go through and see this experience, you'll see as we go through and click through the website, I'm going to go through and So we're going to go through and we're going to click through and we're going to check out some shoes. So I've got a 14-year-old daughter at home. She's grown out of shoes. She needs some new shoes for the summer, so I'm going to browse. Here's that double track. I'm going to go a click. She's a size 9 shoe. So we're going to go ahead and go through and order those shoes and add that to cart. And as we go through that experience, when we add that to cart, we can see when we get to experience. Traditionally, we go through and make the purchase, but we want to go through and see what's happening in the interaction studio. So we're seeing it's collecting all of those interactions. So it's added to that temporary ID. So we've got that one temporary ID, and it's adding all of those experiences together. So I'm starting to create that profile. Now it'll go through, it'll collect those actions, and so now I've got the shoe, capture the size 9 for the attribute. So we're starting to build that profile. And now we can use that profile to not only contextualize that experience. So next time I come to the website, I'm going to get shoes and I'm going to get content about shoes that are kind of based on my past behavior. So we're going to start to change that content on that website based on that individual preference and those behaviors. And the great thing about Kelsey talked about the idea that we can do this not only with our online experiences, but also with our offline experiences. So with those assisted channels. So when we go over and we go to that in-store experience, remember we talked about the on-property experience. So this would be something where I walk in. I've downloaded the NTO mobile app, so I have that on my phone. So I'm going to walk into the store, and as I go into this experience, I go and again collect that data. So it's adding to each one of those experiences. I can go to that camping. It's collecting. I go to the footwear section. Track your fitness. So it's going to give me information around shoes, around tracking my experience and bringing that together. So again, it's adding all of this to the profile, but I'm also getting those connected offers that will go in Journey Builder in just a minute and show you how we kind of coordinate all of those messages. So I can go through and then ultimately, instead of buying them online, I go to the store and pick it at checkout. And again, that's going to be written back to that record that we have. So if we go back over to our Interaction Studio, you can see all of these additional interactions are being caught and created. And then it's got the other interactions that I did over here. So it's adding all of that together and tracking all of that in real time to have that complete profile. And we'll create temporary IDs for each one of the different properties that we have. And once that, as the user, authenticate and provide either valid information through an app or through something else, we'll stitch that together and we'll be able to write that back to their customer record, whether that be in Service Cloud or Sales Cloud or even in the Marketing Cloud or wherever that kind of golden record exists, we'll write that information back to that customer record and be able to have that information. So that's a lot of great information about kind of that behavior as I go down the funnel, and so that's how we're able to monitor. But let's take a look at how we're able to go through and change that communication. So here we are. This is that journey for that fitness tracker that we got. And so we had the API event, and then we've got an Interaction Studio split. So this is one of those things where we've gone through as the marketer. I've set the rules, and I've decided who's going to be able to be eligible for a specific offer. Are they eligible? Do they meet the criteria? And so we're just going to check in real time. It's going to ping back and check those rules and say, hey, is Blake eligible for this offer? If it is, we're going to track that fitness. You saw that push notification that we were sent. And then we're going to wait 2 days if they're saturated. So, hey, this person's gotten that offer a lot. We've seen it 4 or 5 times. Probably not the best to kind of send that to them again. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to wait 2 days, and then we're going to test the split again, and they're not saturated, so they've met new criteria. We're going to go ahead at this point, send them an email. So understanding that we can navigate and have that kind of air traffic controller, so as we're communicating with our customers, we're providing them the right experience on their terms, but we're doing it in the right frequency, that right amount of times we want to communicate with that customer. If somebody's seen something 50 times, are they likely to, is 51 going to push them over the edge? Maybe, but probably not. Is that going to create that experience like, I know, I got it, I'm good, let me go, I got it? Are they going to go somewhere else? They're going to go that experience. So think about that experience as they go down and interact with that. And then we have the remainder and blocked, and these are people that, hey, they're just not eligible, so we're just going to let them go into other journeys and kind of do this. The other great thing about Interaction Studio is not only do we have customers going through one journey, but we can really control multiple journeys. So you think about that. When you're brand new to a brand, you could be on their welcome journey. You could also have just made a purchase, so you're also on their purchase journey. But as the marketer, we want to not have somebody get saturated with, again, a bunch of different emails and offers and get the same email at the same time. Think about, for example, a mortgage company. A mortgage company or a bank, they got a lot of people competing for that inbox, right? You got the mortgage banker, you got the checking account, you got somebody else, the 401k. Like, you got a lot of people competing for that inbox. And so as the brand manager, as the person kind of protecting their customer, I can use Interaction Studio to control all of those offers and say, hey, we've already sent them 4 emails today from our, again, we do business with brands, not individual departments. This person's already gotten 4 emails from us today. I know one was for a credit card offer and one was for a mortgage and one was for something else, but it's like, we don't need to send them again. So when I think about those experiences, about how we can leverage all of those business rules that we can create to make sure that our customers aren't getting inundated with a lot of different messages. So one last thing that we kind of want to jump in, and Kelsey hit on the insights side of Interaction Studio. And we're going to go back into Interaction Studio, and we're going to analyze here in our insights. So we're going to look at our different journeys. And so here we are, we're going to choose a proposition. And so this is how we're looking at our Northern Trail Outfitter. We're looking at our lens. So this is where we can see how all the people are going through. They're going from the awareness to the purchase to the awareness research to purchase phase. And so as we look at the people that are dropping off of the purple, those are the customers that are leaving us and they're dropping out of the funnel. And obviously we want to look at kind of bringing those back. So we can look at the different life cycles and we can even move into all of the different flows. What? Yeah, I'm old and blind, so it doesn't help a whole lot. So we have the computer screen. You can see the different areas, kind of where they're going through that process. So again, we know this from our consumers. They're going to be on multiple devices, and we can see those flows through there. But the other thing I can do is I can go to this group, and I want to go here, and when I create this group, and they're dropping off. And so I want to figure out how I can re-engage those customers. So we can click over here, and we can add to an audience. So this allows that we can go through, and we can take all of these customers, and right now we got a pretty small sample size, but we can build a group that we can add to an audience, and then we can go ahead and we can put them back in our journey and back to either DMP to respond to spring promotions, or we can drop them into one of the campaigns that we're already running. So that automatically will put all of those users, when they drop out, we can send them back into our re-engagement or awareness campaign, kind of what fits best for that life cycle and where they are in that process. This, we can look, and then we can see where they're kind of jumping out, what those match are, and then we'll also begin to uncover certain patterns of how individuals move from different parts of the site, kind of how they move off the different devices, and also maybe identify some interesting things where people are kind of skipping some stages. So they're kind of going around and not necessarily going kind of down that straight line path that we would like to achieve.
All right, so we've gone over a lot of information. If you want to shoot back to the PowerPoint, we've got couple deliverables that you can kind of look at, because this is a lot of information. How do we kind of move and phase yourself from becoming that customer experience company? So the last one I want to just talk to you about, the slides, is a couple takeaways. We've got a couple ebooks that I wanted to push out to you. You can go to the next one. So Text Experiences to 56237. This is a really cool ebook that really lays out what are the phases you need to get there to create that customer experience strategy, right? Where do I start with discovery? How do I then move that into getting my stakeholder buy-in across the organization? If we remember that data silo and department silo slide we showed at the very beginning, how can you start to bring stakeholder buy-in together and center around that customer experience? And then if you really want to dive into kind of those lifecycle insights, understand a little bit more about the product itself, this Path to Personalization ebook, and then of course a lot of the stats came through today around our connected customer report. So with that, we'll stick around for a couple questions. Otherwise, I hope you had a great day here at World Tour in New York, and enjoy the rest of the weather before the rain sets in. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.